right, welcome back to part 3 of the first time homebuyer survival series. We're doing one of these every day for the month of December to help you fully prepare to buy your first home in 2026. If you want the PDF version of the first time homebuyer survival guide, or if you want to ask me a question, all the details are down in the description. Today we are diving into how to prepare financially to buy your first home, because buying a home is a financial decision first and a lifestyle decision second. It does not matter how perfect the house looks or how great the neighborhood is. If it ruins your wallet, then that home will turn into a nightmare really fast. So before you start house hunting, you need to check your wallet. $0? Man, I shouldn't have gotten that Starbucks. So before we get into mortgages and pre-approvals and all that fun stuff, we'll be getting to that in a later video. I want to do an overview of the type of expenses that go into a house and what your monthly breakdown for your budget should look like. When buying a home, a lot of people think about the purchase price and focus mostly on that. And while yes, that does matter, that is very important, the most important number that you should be thinking about is not necessarily the purchase price, but the monthly expenses that you're going to have when you are owning that home. That's the number that decides whether you can actually afford the house comfortably or if you end up house poor. House poor is when the majority of your income goes to your home expenses. You do not want that. You still want to be able to own a home and still afford groceries. You still want to have hobbies, and you want to have some savings going into your bank account every month. You want to pay for car repairs. You want to be able to travel. If you're planning on having children, you're going to have to pay for them. And most importantly, you want to have enough money if there's any emergencies that come up. So you definitely don't want to be house poor. A good rule of thumb is to keep your total home costs under 50% of your total monthly income. Now, that might be a little bit more difficult in today's economy. So if it goes over that, it's not the end of the world, but that's just a rough benchmark to see how well you're doing. And ideally, you want to keep it as low as possible. If you can get it to 2%, that's even better. Once you start pushing too far past 50%, then things can get a little messy. Unlike renting, you can't just leave after the end of your lease term. If you buy a home that you cannot comfortably afford, you may be stuck there for years. So let's talk about what makes up your actual monthly home cost. So the first thing to factor in is going to be your mortgage payment. Obviously, this is the big one. This is going to be the vast majority of it. You can use any free mortgage calculator that you find online. You just put in what your purchase price is. You can just grab the average price in your city. You can put in the interest rate, you put in your down payment, all of that, and it'll spit out a nice monthly number for you. Keep in mind that these mortgage calculators aren't very accurate. You're going to want to speak to a licensed mortgage broker to get a real estimate of what you're going to be doing, but that will come later. For now, it is a useful tool just to figure out roughly what's going on if you've never done this before, just so you get an idea. They can be handy for doing some early stage research, but don't put too much stock in that number. Next, you're going to want to factor in your annual property taxes. Most cities in Ontario will have a property tax calculator on their city website. If you're looking at a specific listing, a lot of times it will be in the listing itself what the sellers are currently paying in their property taxes. I know in Hamilton we have to put it in for our board. I don't know if every real estate board is like that, but the city's calculator will give you a good estimate either way. Next, you're going to factor in your utilities. So that's going to be gas, hydro, and water. Hydro and water are not the same thing. I know that's kind of confusing. Hydro is your electricity bill. You're also going to want to factor in internet as well. Next, you want to factor in your home insurance. This will depend on the home, but a good number to budget for when you're doing this right now is about $100 a month. All right, the fifth thing that you're going to want to budget for, and perhaps the most important or the most underlooked rather, is maintenance and unexpected repairs. This is what trips up a lot of first-time buyers. Homes need ongoing care, and this can sneak up on you, especially if you're used to renting, because when you're renting a home, most of the repairs are the responsibility of the landlord. They're the one who deal with the repairs, and they're also the ones that pay for them. So a good rule of thumb is to add a small buffer to your budget each month for the maintenance. You may not use it every single month, but when something breaks, you'll be glad you were building this up. This is also something that's good to factor in when you're actually going through the process of buying a home. If you're finding something that you are potentially going to offer on, you want to take a look at various things such as the furnace, the windows, the roof, when were they last replaced, because this will give you an idea of any maintenance that you might have to do in the near future. And then also you can look at the general state of the house. If the house was pretty well maintained by the previous owner, then there will most likely be less maintenance issues built up for you to deal with. compared to one that isn't very well maintained, then there might be some dormant issues that will be coming up soon that they might have perhaps neglected. So that's also something to keep in mind when you're actually going out and looking at homes and you're doing showings. All right, let's walk through a simple example here. So let's say that your household take-home income is about $6,000 per month. That's very normal for a lot of first-time buyers. And let's say you're looking at a starter home around $600,000, which is fairly reasonable for Hamilton in today's market. To figure out if you can comfortably afford it, we first need to break down the full monthly cost. So first, you got your mortgage payment. Depending on what your down payment is and the interest rate, a $600,000 home is probably going to put your mortgage somewhere around $2,400 to $2,800 per month. So for this example, we'll call it $2,500. Now, next are your property taxes. So for a $600,000 home in Hamilton, your taxes will usually land somewhere around $400 to $500 per month. So let's call it $450. Then we have utilities. For a 1,000 square foot home, safe number for hydro, gas, water, and your internet is going to be about $300 per month. Then, like I mentioned before, we'll say home insurance is about $100 a month as well. Then our maintenance buffer, we'll just say $200 a month is a good amount to be putting aside into a savings account so that you have something to dip into for when something inevitably breaks. So when we add all that up, we have our mortgage, $2,500, property taxes, $450, utilities, $300, insurance, $100, and maintenance is $200. Your total monthly cost is around $3,550 per month. Now, if we compare that to your $6,000 per month income, that puts you right around 59% of your income. So based on what we said earlier, it's a little on the higher side if we want to keep it around 50%. And ideally, you want to be closer to 50 or under. But that being said, it's not a complete deal breaker. Again, this economy, it's kind of difficult to be keeping that number below that. And the key here is really not to stretch it so far that your home becomes stressful. That number might still be manageable for you based on your job, your lifestyle, the amount that you have saved up. So it's really up to you to decide if that is a number that you are comfortable with. Now, one key budgeting mistake that a lot of people make is buying the most expensive home that the bank approves them for. So typically you'll have your max pre-approval. That's the most you are allowed to purchase a home for that the bank will lend you money on. And that is usually the upper end of your budget. If you can, try to come in a little bit under that number to give yourself some breathing room. That might not always be possible depending on market conditions or your personal financial situation, but that's just something to keep in mind. You don't have to buy the most expensive house that you can possibly qualify for, because when the bank is doing their calculations, they're usually basing that off of how much you can afford each month. They're not really factoring in what would be actually personally comfortable for you. If buying at the upper end is something that you're fine with, then that's totally fine, but just make sure that you're considering the full repercussions of that. It might be best to leave a little bit of wiggle room for you so that you have some extra money left over for some other expenses and you can pay for emergencies and other things as well. It's really important that you build up a rough overview of your total monthly expenses before you start the home search process. You want to look at everything, not just the home costs that we went over, but you want to factor in your car payments, you want to factor in gas, car insurance, food, any subscriptions that you have, any other personal spending, and also factor in how much you'd like to be putting away for your savings each month so that you're also getting ahead financially. You don't want to be stuck in the situation where you don't have any savings or any investments as well. You want to be able to get ahead year after year. You probably already have a good idea of those numbers, so this part shouldn't take too long. So use the tools I mentioned in this video to get a quick estimate of what a home will actually be costing you every month. And before we go into mortgages and pre-approvals in the next videos, it's good to walk through your own baseline. Your pre-approval that you get will most likely change some of these numbers around, but it's good to have an idea of your baseline. Let's say the bank comes back and the number they give you is a little bit higher than you were expecting to comfortably pay each month, then that's totally fine. Maybe now isn't the right time for you, or maybe you have to build up your savings a little bit more so you can put a higher down payment, or maybe you have to look at potentially changing jobs so you can find something that's a little bit more higher paying or something. It doesn't mean that buying a home is off the table entirely. It just means you might have to get a little bit strategic about what you do. Like I said in the last video, if now is not the right timing for you, that's completely fine. You just have to make sure that it makes sense financially. The absolute worst case scenario is buying a home that you can't actually afford and having to sell at a loss. I've seen this happen personally with some clients of mine. I had some people who they bought during COVID at the peak and then they had to sell because they could not afford to pay for the house every single month. They had to sell for less than what they paid, and it's a terrible position to be in, but it was really the lesser of two evils. The one scenario was they keep the house and they keep bleeding every month and eventually go bankrupt, or they decide to cut their losses and sell at a loss and then move on. So I don't want that to happen to you, and this is why doing your budgeting is so important. It's not very sexy, but it is vital. The buyers who win long term and end up in good financial positions where they're happy with their purchase are the ones who do this boring work up front. All right, thank you so much for watching. This was part 3 in the first time home buyer series. We've got another video coming tomorrow, so keep an eye out for part 4. If you have any questions at all about your budget, or you want some clarity on your specific situation, then feel free to reach out. My contact info is down below. And also, if you want the PDF version of the first time home buyer survival guide, the link is in the description as well. All right, thanks again for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.